Hello again, my name is Rodney Reynolds and welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at the NZXT H2 Case. Now this is a pretty boring looking box, but I guess it's not what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside that counts. It has a couple of pictures here on the front, some features and specifications all around the box, which is good if you are picking this up in store. Now this is a mid-sized tower case, but it's a little bit on the heavy side, so I'm actually going to open it from the bottom and then just slip the case box off. There you go. Makes it a little bit easier. Styrofoam on either end. Remove the bag. And now let me have a closer look at this case. They have this protective plastic on the front panel, so I'll remove that. Now this is a mid-sized tower case and it's available in two different colors, black and white. And you can see the styling on this is pretty plain. There's no window, there's no ventilation, there are no fans either on the right side or the left side of the case, but I like this. It has that elegant kind of look. At the top of the case there are a couple of things that are hidden, one of them being an optional 140mm fan which you can install. There's a little panel here which is held into place by 4 magnets and it's grooved out here on this mesh, so when you put it back it kind of just slips into place if you are actually not using that optional 140mm fan. You know what? This is a great idea because if you want to keep the top of the case kind of clean looking, well, that's a perfect solution. You can also install a hard drive here. The serial ATA data and power cable connections are at the back and there are 2 rubber strips. This is to prevent vibrations. Now you can install a 3.5-inch drive as well as a 2.5-inch drive in this. Let me show you how that works. To install a 3.5-inch drive, just place it in like so and push it back. It will snap into place and then put the cover back on. Same procedure is used to install a 2.5-inch drive, and to be honest, they probably didn't have provision for a 2.5-inch drive in this because, well, when you slip it in, you know, there's no kind of rubber rests really for the 2.5-inch drive to rest on. It rests on one of them, but not another one. So they could have had another rubber strip right here, but I'll show you how that works. Just place it in like so and push it back, same thing, and put the top back on. At the front, there's a door which is held into place by magnets. It also has acoustic foam. You can install 3 5.25-inch external drive bays, and these drive bay covers can be very easily removed. Just a little lever here on the right side. They include 2 120mm intake fans, and each one of these fans has its own cage, which can be very easily removed. Now note that there's no cables. Look at this, 2 contact points. When you put it in, and of course then have it connected to power on the inside of the case, it powers the fan, so that's pretty neat. The dust filter is removable. It's at the front and all you do is just pull it and it pops off. This is great. You know, once it gets dusty you can just take it and wash it off or clean it off and then just slip it back in. Kind of gotta pry it up in the middle here. It pops back, very easy to do, and then slide it back into position. Now at the bottom front of the case they have this space. It looks kind of cool, but it also serves a purpose because it leaves space so those 2 120mm fans can intake cool air, you know, once the front door is closed. The front panel can be very easily removed by carefully pulling at the bottom. Now with the front panel removed, you can kind of see a little better what I was talking about with this front bottom piece. It's separate from the front panel that the door is on. Bit of space between this and the bottom of the front panel, so again, provides some space for the two front fans to intake cool air, not only through the front but also through the back. And with the front panel removed, it gives you access to the external 5¼ inch drive bays, as well as the 3½ inch and 2½ inch drive bays. As I mentioned earlier, the left and right side panels are plain. Now this is something that you will see in a lot of new cases, this kind of godly big blue cable hanging out of the back. This is actually for the front USB 3 port. This gets connected into the external motherboard's USB 3 port, then goes from there into the front USB 3 port. They include a 120mm exhaust fan. Here's where the motherboard's I/O shield plate gets installed, and they include also a couple of rubber grommeted holes. Here you can route cables through this or water cooling tubes, and they also include extra ventilation and 7 ventilated expansion slots. At the bottom is where a standard ATX power supply gets installed, and they include 4 thumb screws, 2 on each side panel. Now the left and right side panels might be plain, but they have this acoustic foam, and this will dampen that computer noise. We'll keep it, hopefully most of it, inside of the case. And remember, it's on both of the side panels and the front. Looks like they included an accessory box. Let's see what's in this. Screws and more screws, like motherboard standoffs, fan screws, manual, plastic cable ties, a speaker, and it looks like rubber washers. Note that the interior is black. They include a large hole on the motherboard tray for the cooler's retention plate. This is an enormous time saver. There's all kinds of punch outs on the back of the motherboard tray, as well as lots of cable management holes. And note that they have rubber grommets, so you won't cut the cables. This is great because you can route most of your cables behind the motherboard tray, and there is enough space back there to fit pretty much any kind of cable that you have and all kinds of cables that you have there. Get them out of the case. It not only looks good, but it really increases airflow inside of the case. Now there's a toolless design on all of the drive bays, both the 5¼ inch and 3½ inch. Now to install a drive in the 5¼ inch drive bays, all you need to do is push this lever that way, then release it, slide the drive in, pop it back, and lock it into place. There are 8 3½ inch or 2½ inch drives. You can install a 3½ inch or a 2½ inch drive on either one of these drive bays. And they have 4 of these rubber mounts, 2 on either side in each one of these drive bay cages. At the bottom there are 4 rubber rests for the power supply to lodge on. Now you're able to install very long video cards in this case. It varies really. You can install video cards with these drives installed here at the top. You could remove some of these as well. Remember, you have 8, so you have lots of drive bays here. If you don't need 8, you can put the hard drives at the bottom, so it kind of gives you more space if you need that extra length to install a really long video card. It goes anywhere from 11½ inches to approximately 12½ inches. And as I mentioned, the right side panel has this acoustic foam as well. Now with the right side panel removed, you can see everything here more clearly. The hole on the motherboard tray for the cooler's retention plate, these punch outs where you can attach cables through, and all the other holes where you can route cables through. You can see how they have tucked a few right here, so it's nice to be able to put these behind the motherboard tray and get them out of the case. They include lots of rubber feet, and that's wonderful because it will reduce vibrations and also decrease scratching the surface. Now, going back to this bottom plastic piece again, at the front, remember it's grooved to allow air to intake there. Well, they also have it grooved here, which would be on the left side of the case when you're looking at the case. So, a lot of provision here for the fans to intake cool air. They also include this mammoth removable dust filter. You just take it out, clean it, and put it back in. This is for two fans, really. An optional 120 millimeter fan you can install right here, and the power supplies fan. Now let's have a listen to the stock cooling. I currently have it on the lowest speed. Medium. And high. Maybe you're in the market for a silent computer case, or maybe it's time for you to get a silent computer case. Maybe it's driving you crazy. Maybe it's driving your significant other crazy with all the fans humming, the video cards fans just screeching. This is an option. You could go with this. Now remember, they can turn pretty much any case into a quote-unquote silent computer case or near silent computer case by installing acoustic foam. But here's the thing. If you have a case currently that has a huge window, fans, ventilation, or all of the above, well, you can't really install acoustic foam really well. Or you can, but it won't have much of an impact because, you know, you have all the windows and fans and ventilation, and noise will escape. You really need to have a case that has nothing on each side panel, and preferably a door, because you can put the acoustic foam inside of that door, so it kind of keeps back all that noise that's wanting to escape the front and sides of the case. Now you can also put it on the back and the top and anywhere else really that you want this acoustic foam to absorb the noise. It does truly work. As you heard from the sound test, you can barely hear it even at maximum spin. Now the case, is nice overall. It's heavy though, very, very heavy. The acoustic material does add to the overall weight. Remember, this is a steel case, not an aluminum case, and the motherboard tray unfortunately is not removable. But I do like the overall build quality, design, toolless design, and other things about this case. And to be honest, a lot of people who are buying silent computer cases, well, they don't have a lot to choose from. So this is another case in that, silent case category. Overall, this is a kick-ass product. Until next time, take care.